All right. Please bring on the great Congressman James Clyburn. Congressman Clyburn, I am so thrilled. I cannot tell you how much I've been beaten up by Ralph over the years. Over the years, since I was like 18 years old, just entering college. And what an inspiration Ralph has. And Ralph has said to me, what an inspiration, of course, as a young man, a young person from South Carolina, you have been to him and so many others. You have been a school teacher. You rose to become a congressman. You became majority whip and assistant leader in Congress. We are so thrilled to have you because you are a symbol of what has been achieved in even more difficult times. But this is a really difficult time right now. And I would like you to share with young people in our audience what this moment means for this generation, particularly of young people in these battleground districts, young people of color, the LGBTQIA community, the disability community, etc., for them to have their voices heard. Congressman Clyburn.
Well, thank you very, very much for having me.
Oh, and one second, one second. Are you on Air Force One?
Not tonight, not tonight. I'm about to go to catch a commercial flight back to South Carolina tonight. But I did have a great day and evening and a little bit of this morning with President Joe Biden as we went down to Austin, Texas to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the signing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And he gave an incredible speech talking about what existed then and the challenges that we have today. And let me say this to the young people who are there. I can remember very well, starting out with John Lewis, when the two of us were 19-year-old college students. We had no idea back in 1960 when we were sitting in, waiting in, praying in, and doing all of those things that we thought were necessary in order to make life better for our children and grandchildren. I now have grandchildren and even a great-grand. And I do believe that the sacrifices we made then are paying off today for those young people. And it's paying off for the young people who are there with you, participating in here this evening. But let me say to you what I said to Ralph, who I taught when he was a 10th grader, a little younger than you were when you first met him. I used to say to those students, anything that's happened before can happen again. And I want the young people who are participating in this session to know that after the Civil War, we went into a period that we call Reconstruction. And during that period of Reconstruction, all of the citizenship rights that belonged to non-Blacks were made available to Blacks after the war. That happened for 13 years. But Reconstruction came to an end after 13 years of full participation. And in 1877, the so-called Tilden-Hayes Compromise resulted in an end to Reconstruction and the beginning of Jim Crow. But I want your young people to know this. All of that occurred by one vote. Reconstruction came to an end by one vote. 185 to 184. Rutherford B. Hayes became president of the United States with a vote of 185 in the Electoral College to 184. That is what ended Reconstruction. And the committee that gave him those votes was a 15-member committee. The committee vote was 8-7 to give the votes to Hayes, because Hayes promised that he would bring an end to Reconstruction. So one vote ended Reconstruction. One vote started Jim Crow. And because of that one vote, there were 95 years between number 8 and number 9 members of Congress from South Carolina who happen to be people of color. So I want to say to the young people who are there today, one vote has determined a whole lot in history. Their one vote can mean the difference in freedom and justice, or community, or chaos. So just remember, as you are working through what to do in this election year, your one vote matters. Participate and make sure that your one vote will not result in what that one vote resulted in back in the 1870s. And finally, I want to say to them, when I got elected to Congress, I ran against the advice of a lot of people who told me I had no chance of winning. They told me I had no chance of winning because I had lost 3 times before. And a friend of mine said to me, "What are you going to do now? You know what they say, 3 strikes and you're out." I told my friend, that's a baseball rule. And nobody should live their lives by baseball rules. So I want to say to the young people there, what your grandparents, your guardians, your parents have always said to you, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. They didn't say try one more time or 2 more times. There's no numerical limitation on how many times you should try. If I had quit after losing the 3rd time, I never would have become the number 3 guy in the United States House of Representatives. So to all of you, please stay engaged, learn what's happening around you, and dedicate yourselves to making this country a better place, not just for you, but for those who are destined to come after you. So thank you so much for all that you're doing, and thanks to those who are guiding you along this way. Let's make sure that when we wake up the morning after the November elections, that you've done your part to make this country a better place. Thank you and Godspeed.
Thank you so much, Congressman Clyburn. May I ask you one question?
Sure.
Okay. Well, with 2 parts to that question. Young people are facing a lot of challenges, what we call in civic influencers generational gerrymandering, which is a set of rules and laws that are trying to remove polling sites from their campuses, trying to deny student IDs for voter IDs, trying to deny many of their voting access potential. And so we're helping equip them. But it can be very dispiriting. The second thing is, and so part of what we've seen in the last, say, few months is a lot of young people feeling this is going to be impossible. However, would you say there has been a shift that you've observed in the population and in young people particularly getting excited to get involved and fight generational gerrymandering and getting themselves registered and getting themselves out to vote?
Are you frozen?
No, I'm here. You appeared to be frozen. Can you see me?
Yes, I see and hear you very well.
Okay. Did you hear the question?
Yes, I think.
Okay, so
Well,
please, it's your turn to answer.
well, let me tell you this. I remember my dad used to say to me all the time, and I thought it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But the longer I lived, the more I understand what he was saying to me.
No.
That the darkest time of the night is that moment just before dawn. And so I would say to young people, no matter how dark it may seem, just think about what has happened in this country in the last 9 or 10 days. We have seen a massive shift in the sentiments of this country in the last 10 days. I talked to so many young people who 2 weeks ago were telling me they had no reason to vote. They didn't feel any hope. They thought that the country was wired against them. Those same young people over the last 10 days are now speaking differently. So no matter how dark or dreary it may seem to you, you must keep working. Jesse Jackson used to say, keep hope alive. And if you do that, you know, it's a scripture that says, keep your lamps trimmed and burning so as to be ready when the bridegroom comes. So you don't give up and drop out. You keep working. You know what your dreams and aspirations are? Keep working. No matter how dark it may seem. Who knows? That may be the moment just before dawn. I think Kamala Harris will agree with that today.
Thank you. Thank you for those wonderful words, Congressman. And glad you're home safely. And glad you enjoyed your trip with the president on Air Force One. And we wish you, and it's so inspiring for young people. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.